Exactly. Who exactly was the real killer who impersonated the victim? Indeed. Gladly, Your Honor. Gladly. No problem at all. No problem at all. Alright, Your Honor. I'll be glad to identify the criminal.
Take that!
Right here. Obviously, the killer is Furio Tigre. No one else could have done it. Look who's sweating bullets now. Of course. Nope. Try me. What? Is that all? Very well. Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see just the victim. Oh, no. She's very conspicuous, so he put some white powder in it. Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That does not matter. The fact remains, he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee.
Objection!
Objection, Your Honor! Very impressive, Mr. Godot. Waiting for my absence to launch your attack? Heh. Hardly. Anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Glenelg, and the waitress, end quote, from behind. My point is, I think the conclusion is quite obvious. If this Glenelg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. Exactly. The defendant, Miss Maggie Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her. Come on. That's quite obvious. Right here.
Take that!
Her name is Viola Cadavarini. She is an employee of Tenderlander. Oh, yes, I do, Mr. Tigre. The defendant, Miss Bird, has stated the following. When I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true that there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy. then she had a kind of cackling laugh. Well, look who happens to be sweating bullets now. Ah, isn't that cute there, Mr. Tigre? You're the one who's sweating bullets now. There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table, who nobody but Miss Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when that eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There is only one logical explanation that clears up all of these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice, once for real and once for show. And Mr. Furio Tigre, the only person who could have committed the crime, was you! What do you mean by that? Something to think about? What's wrong with... Huh. Already aware of that. You actually expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tigre? Huh. Another one for the road. Fine. Alright, let's go. I'll give you one more chance to testify there, Mr. Tigre. What happened that day at Tribulations between yourself and the victim? $100,000, huh? Payback date. So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. This is exactly what I was trying to figure out. If he had actually gotten the payback... Now, you know what? Let me rephrase that. If the victim had won the $500,000 and was about to repay Mr. Tigre, why would Mr. Tigre want him dead? He wouldn't have gotten his money back anyway. That makes absolutely no sense. Already aware of that. And I rest my case. Mr. Tigre already answered his own question. He had absolutely no reason to kill him. He does have a motive, though. Question is, what is it? And in fact, I don't think it's actually about the money at all. I think it's about something else. And I actually might be able to tell you what it is. Hold it. Did he have any way of paying the loan back? Agreed to help him? So you're helping him for his sake or yours? I don't think anyone would believe it. Come on. Of course they wouldn't, Maya. They would never get their money back if they actually did that. You're speaking figuratively, by the way. Just in case you need to know. Hold it! How much were you expecting him to pay you back on that day? $100,000 including interest. True, Maya. It is a real heavyweight punch. Once a client misses a repayment, you call the whole loan in. True. How many times had Mr. Elg been late with his repayments? Only once. And how much was he supposed to pay back every month? $50. He never paid that huge loan off. Plus, he actually had a gambling. He was a gambling addict. There you go. Tells me he's got no way of paying up. The main reason why is because of his gambling. Hold it! How much should he have left on his debt? $100,000. Exactly. He was obviously lying. Hold it! Was that because guy won the lottery? Was his last chance at a big win? You can confirm that this is the ticket in question? The Millionaire Radio Show started at 1:30 p.m. and runs for 10 minutes. That fixes the time you two met with some accuracy. The whole scene was acted out again 30 minutes later. And all so that Mr. Kudo would see it. Hold it! Was there anyone else in the restaurant at the time? there was no one there, I'll wear that ridiculous tiger shirt for a month. If that shirt actually did exist, I actually would do so. Dead serious. Mr. Armstrong, Maggie, and if I'm right, Viola Cataverini were all there at that time. So the victim had intended to repay you from his lottery winnings from the beginning. But you wouldn't normally expect to win the lottery, would you? The undying belief that your next roll would end the worst losing streak you ever had. That's what defines a true gambler. Oh. I'm not a gambler myself. I do have a few friends who are. Hold it! The waitress, you mean? That would be Miss Maggie Bird. Bada bing, bada boom. Over and done with. What do you mean things would have been over and done with? I'm already aware of that. So I didn't get my $100,000 back. That's all. I'm a businessman. Mr. Tigre had no motive for killing the victim. Tiger's motive. That is what we don't know. We already know that he did kill Mr. L. Question is, why? What would his actual motive be? Now, like I mentioned before, I don't think it was about the cash at all. I think what his actual motive was to actually frame Maggie Bird. The main problem is, why would he try to do so? Hold it! You saying you had no other motives that day? Why didn't you take the lottery ticket when you left? Because of Maggie?
Objection!
Objection, Your Honor! A likely theory. Your word hasn't held water lately, Mr. Tigre.
Objection!
I'm already aware of that, Godot. Oh, for Christ's sake. Leave it alone. Thank you, Your Honor, but there's no need to amend the testimony. The Tiger was meeting Glen Elg to get his money back. If Mr. Elg had just given him the lottery ticket, that would have been the end of it. What is the Tiger's motive? This is the big one. If I manage to undermine this testimony, it's all over for us. Why would he have to poison Mr. Elg? And why did he loan him the money in the first place when he knew he couldn't repay him? Wait a second. I think I might know. Oh, I know exactly. I know the exact reason. I know exactly the reason why he did that. It's been right under our noses the whole time.
Objection!
Right here. So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elg owed you, correct? Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, I don't believe the $100,000 is what you're really after.
Objection!
What am I getting at? Oh, I'll explain that. The moneylender was after money, that's true. But money in a totally different league. The kind of money that a single disc like this would fetch. A computer virus, Your Honor. A little virus called MC Bomber. A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important part. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glen Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial. Glen Elg was a computer programmer, a highly skilled programmer. The skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Objection!
Exactly. Of course he could, providing that he had time. But what if he needed the money right now? With the pressure on, the luxury of choice tends to disappear. Would I care to share it? Of course I would. Oh, I was waiting for this. Should I? Yeah, you know what? I think I should.
Take that!
There you go. In December of last year, you found yourself in need of a huge amount of money, Mr. Tigre. About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. And yet, when the payment was due last month, you somehow managed to pay it all in full. That's very true there, Godot. The hospital would have ended up instead of some morgue. If the medical association got wind of it, that is. Mr. Tigre had no choice but to pay. Because his very life depended on it! Indeed it did. Simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini. Oh, yes I did, Godot. Bruno Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Your wife was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Bruno Cadaverini demanded of you, Mr. Tigre. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glenelg's life to pay your debt. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigre's sole intention was to get his hands on this disc. Glenelg had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tigre knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigre would prefer that never happens. But he can't, and neither can I. Exactly. At the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tigre with no way of getting his hands on the all-important disc. At least no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means. It might be crazy, but it's also true. He murdered Mr. Glenelg and then made his next move to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigre posed as Glenelg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. Then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection.
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money as well. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigre's plan.